All right, welcome to AIS, above industry standard. Today we got kind of a solo pod. Producer Dave's going to hop on for a bit. We're going to talk about some articles. I think we're going to make a new section here called Crime in Construction, because every single week there's a new freaking headline of workers' comp fraud, or someone stole a bunch of money and figured out how to game certified payroll on prevailing wage. There's always something going on. But we're going to take it solo. It's going to be a shorter pod. And we got a few little debate topics we're going to talk about too. One's going to be GCs versus architects. Who's really in control there? We're going to talk about one, if you're going with the cheapest bid, you're getting screwed. And two, why you shouldn't work with family and all that good stuff. Oh gosh. And my phone's blowing up. This is why I need to go into airplane mode. Airplane mode. Okay, we're back. So, architects versus GCs. Here's my stance on this. This is a common debate, especially as a design build company at KHB, of who's in control. And typically, farther upstream in the process, they're kind of the gatekeepers. So typical contractor getting a project from an architect, he's at the mercy of that architect's drawings, at the mercies of their timelines, their urgency, their clarity on scope of work and how they do their plans. And especially in renovations, residential, the bar could never be lower for 4 sets of construction documents. It's actually really bad. I wish it was more like commercial, with details and callouts and specifications, like very detailed. Because in residential, you could be doing a $100,000 kitchen, and the plan set could literally be 2 pages, cover sheet and then existing and proposed. And some cities and counties will get you a permit on that if it's like for like, or if the architect says it's like for like. Now, I use architect loosely, and I shouldn't, because they went to school, they have their stamp, and they're super proud of that, and that's good for them. But drafters are in that same bucket. So in residential, I believe anything under a triplex, so under multifamily, in the residential zoning, you don't need a degree to draft that set of construction documents, at least in California. So full home remodels, home additions, it could be a $2 million renovation, and you don't need to have your architectural stamp to draft those plans. Which is so backwards, because in freaking California, as a handyman, right, an unlicensed contractor, if you will, you can't touch a job that is worth over $500 labor and materials. But then you're going to go trust someone that took a Fiverr course on how to use Revit to design your $500,000, home renovation, and expect a similar outcome as an architect that went to school for 5 years and has 3 or 4 or 5 years of applied knowledge in the field, has their stamp, has all the risk that is associated with that stamp. You're going to just trust that drafter to get that done for you too. It's the same thing, and it's so backwards in California because, one, our economy, like for a handyman, it's like a great business model to be a handyman, but it's the worst place to do it because no one is living off of $500 labor and materials. And the way I was telling homeowners about it is, like, if you want to swap out your front door, one, good luck finding a quality front door under $500. Most of them are $3,500 to $6,500, and that's like a conservative budget for a decent front door. And then two, what if that door's $450 off the shelf at Home Depot? That handyman has a gun to his head to install it for $50 or less legally. Like, that's not right at all. A lot of other states get this completely right. They have a $20,000, $30,000 cap on it. You would think California, as like the 3rd largest economy, not just in the United States, but like globally, would have some different restrictions and want to grow entrepreneurship, want small businesses to succeed, because there's a huge hole in California. This isn't even on our rant list, but apparently it's on top of my mind. There's a huge hole, especially in our market, for good handymen to fill the hole between the job sizes that contractors, who are taxed and legislated out the ass, have to charge to fulfill their overhead needs. So like for us, I don't really want to touch a job under $100,000 because the juice isn't worth the squeeze. I got to do the same amount of work as a $25,000 project, but for 3/4 less of the profit. Overhead takes the same. So whether it's a $100,000 kitchen that's going to take 20 days or a $20,000 bath that's going to take 20 days, it's the same burden for those days. And it's so expensive to operate here that like all those small projects just kind of get pushed to the wayside. All the bigger projects, it's, that 100 to 250,000, sweet spot for most contractors in California. It's so saturated. And that's why, because I would love to start a handyman business, but one, is just not economical. But for the owner operator handyman, it would slay, because no contractor is touching that $500 to $15,000 project because it doesn't pencil. As soon as you have any sort of overhead in operation expenditures, it doesn't pencil to do those types of projects. That business model would kill, because there's a ton of homeowners, and there's way more homeowners that can spend $500 to $15,000. The market's huge, demand's there, and those homeowners keep getting screwed because good contractors, quotations, if you're watching on YouTube, good contractors or contractors with any sort of overhead burden, if they want to service that market, they have to kind of race to the bottom, and the margins get super thin. And that's when people don't follow through on their word, because they literally don't have the money to operate to finish the job or to buy the materials, because they're in a hard time. They just need to fill the schedule, keep the guys busy, whatever it may be, whatever excuse they tell themselves. That's how that happens. They're not charging enough for labor, materials, overhead, profit. So that's my first rant of the day is California sucks. I don't think that's anything new to anyone, but there are good people out there making a change. I actually want to shout out my boy Steve. He went to the state Senate, I believe, yesterday, and testified on behalf of some contractor laws. One was being transparency on GC's subcontractors that are working on the project. There is a big thing where GCs will get a project, farm out that project to multiple subcontractors, and essentially sell the contract and just kind of walk away for a margin on that contract. It's unethical. It's not right. As a homeowner, you should know who's in your home. Steve's out there fighting the good fight. Shout out to Tankersley Construction. He's a good dude. They build some awesome projects. And we need more contractors like that are willing to speak up and put their hand up and say, hey, this isn't right. This is how it should be. And here's a real life example. This is how we do it. Lead from the front. So I love that for Steve. Love that for the state of California. But yeah, we still suck over here. And I was hoping Nate was here to talk about some contracting laws in Tennessee, because they have a little bit more freedom over there. But he has the flu, and he's throwing up. And he was actually supposed to go to Senate today, too, in Tennessee. Well, today's podcast is brought to you by Zolt. These are 15 milligram wintergreen. Fun story about this. You can't get wintergreen in California. So if the police come knocking on my door, that is why. This was bootlegged in from a free state. I feel like we're back in the Prohibition days. But yeah, Zolt pouches. I don't know where you can buy them. I can't find them online. I think it's a total white label company, but their stuff is good. It gets you going. You know what I'm saying? So next up, I think we're talking about GCs versus architects. That's how it started. And then everything kind of segues and filters down to California sucks because of those rules. But yes, architects, they go to school, they have their stamp, they're well educated. Typically highly determined individuals to go through that much rigorous schooling. And then they have to actually get, I think it's like 2,000 or 4,000 hours of live work signed off in different categories of architecture, including project management and finance, and not just feasibility and 2D blueprint type stuff. They have like a multifaceted approach to testing out on those hours that get signed off by an architect or a general contractor. Drafters don't have any of that. Like they just go take a $50 Fiverr or Gumroad course. They learn how to draw a floor plan, and now they're a designer, and they're charging the same freaking price too, which is crazy to me, because the quality of plans from a drafter to an architect, it's not even in the same ballpark. It's not even close to the same ballpark. So anyways, who's in charge on a project, the GC or the architect? Well, the GC. And I say that totally biased, but here's my reasons why. The general contractor is responsible and accountable to all things that he's not even responsible for. Once he signs that construction contract and gives a price that's based off of that approved set of architectural plans, he is a slave to those plans. Now, What does that mean? That means that RFIs, sure, that goes back to the architect, but there's not a ton of risk inherited, at least in residential, back on that drafter. If anything, they will just send you a redraft fee of $350 per hour when they have to answer an RFI. Which is also a good tip for contractors out there. If you're working with a third-party architect or drafter, try to get fixed price all-inclusive till completion of the project. Because there's going to come a time when you have to pocket a beam and you open up the ceiling and maybe it's not what you thought it was going to be. Maybe it wasn't what the architect thought it was going to be. You have to make a change on the fly. You need a structural elevation, an architectural detail, a letter that's stamped, whatever that may be in construction. Happens all the time. You don't want to be eating redraft fees and holding up construction because you need to go pay a $500 invoice because they had to take out the pencil again. Like, that's really annoying. So make sure you get all inclusive. General contractors are in charge because they inherently carry all the risk. Unless there's some gross negligence, some huge malfeasance on the architectural side, which should have been caught by the contractor in the first place, or the city, county, the permitting agency. The GC has all the risk. And on the same side, all the reward, right? Like, we're a design build company, and sometimes my designers hate me because I tell them we're not going to retire pumping out designs all day. Like, we're just not. We'd have to do thousands and thousands and thousands of designs. We're going to retire off of construction. We're going to make our money off of the build. And so I always tell people we're design build with a large emphasis on build. Like, I don't want to just design projects. I want to build the projects because that's where all of our margins at. That's where all of our profits at. And that's how we're able to grow. And that's why we actually have design as a lead loss. Because truthfully, I know that GC is a slave to the architect, but everyone's a slave to the GC. It all comes downhill. All those leading positions, the geotechnical guy, the engineer, the architect, the city, it all trickles down to the GCs responsible and accountable to build off this set of approved plans. Now, what does that mean? Well, the GC should be the commander in charge, right? The GC is in charge of this whole process. And that's why design build is so lucrative, because the GC typically in like a bid design, bid build type situation where you're getting an estimate, it could be 150 grand. And then they go to a third party designer. They say, oh, here's your pretty drawings. And then we actually bid it and it's like, oh, it's actually 250 grand. And then we build it. Well, it consolidates that whole process to bring the contractor in earlier, one, to help with feasibility, because pretty pictures are just pretty pictures if they can't be built. So that's another actually thing on here was like, doesn't really matter if you have blueprints if you don't know how to read them, right? Or if they're not feasible to actually build off of. So pretty pictures are just pretty pictures. And that's what's lucrative about design build. You bring that contractor in earlier, and sure, you're going to be pot committed with that contractor, but at least it's not just getting shotgunned out to a bunch of random people who are bidding off of 2D plans and a rough builder grade finish schedule. And there's a lot left to interpret. There's a lot of gray in there. You're going to get change orders. You're going to get delays in construction. You're going to have a bunch of RFIs going back to the architect because the builder wasn't involved in that designing process. So he doesn't know the author's intended meaning, which is super important. All of that can be avoided by design, build. And it's literally like the name of our firm is like design, build. So 1, 2, this happens, then this happens. It's not bid, design, estimate, proposal, build. There's not 5 steps. There's just 2 steps. And design is a slave to construction because construction is what pays the bills. And there'd be nothing for architects to design if there wasn't contractors to build it, right? They would just be psychos. They'd be like drawing on the walls in their psych ward with their little straitjacket on. Like they would have nothing else to do because no one's going to build their stuff. So architects need builders. And builders make the world go round, literally make the world go round. So who wins, architects or GCs? General contractors win every day of the week. Every day of the week. Architects are still super important, and I know that hurts your ego, but you got to get over it because there's your job is pointless without builders. And that makes builders inherently more important in my thought process. But if you disagree, put it in the comments, because I would love to argue with some people about who's more important, architects or builders. Now, I think we can also throw in there engineers. I typically like engineers more than architects because usually they get the nuts and bolts of like how to build it, where I feel architects are like, oh, this is pretty. Hope it can be built. Oftentimes it's just like, there's been times where I'm given a set of plans. I'm just like, what are they thinking? Like, what are they doing here? Like, do they know by making this detail, they just cost the customer $30,000 or whatever it may be, when they could have done this and saved them 10 for the same desired finish? So I don't know. And also with architects, we could get into this, but there is some pay to play on specifications. Like companies, like if you go to Arizona Tile, or if you go to MSI, or name any cladding company, Decton, Cosentino, together, any of those, they have full on departments dedicated to peddling their products to architects to be specified in the plans. Like, and honestly, Simpson, Strong Tie, love Simpson. We're doing a large project for a Simpson exec right now, and they have great products, and they are specified on everything. But that's intentional, right? Like, it's honestly the best revenue model ever. Like, if you're specified on every single set of plans, how are you going to lose, right? Like, your product is in the highest demand. It's everywhere. It's on every set of architectural plans. But architects do get kickbacks. I said it. They do. Same thing as like a contractor that gets 20% off retail at, XYZ tile shop, and then adds 20% on top of that price in his bid to cover, have a little bit of markup there. Same thing. It just is what it is. But I don't feel it's 100% genuine sometimes when architects or drafters, designers start speccing certain products. Well, it's because they're getting kickbacks. And that product might not be the best fit for you as the consumer. And in residential, it's your freaking home. You should have a lot of say in what goes into your home. And everyone should make a profit, but they should do it transparently, which is why we have a no markup guarantee at KHB. We do not mark up any products. I have no skin in the game if you go with Zolt or Zen. Like, I do not care. Zolt is better though. And Zen is just came out as like a big liberal company, which is, to each their own. Not judging here. But anyways, we have no skin in the game. I don't care if you pick Quartz or Quartzite. There's just a labor difference in fabrication. I don't care if it's Cosentino or MSI or Bedrosians or Arizona, or you go to Pacific Shores. Like, I really don't care. I have no skin in the game. I want you to get what you want. And I feel like that should be more of everyone's approach, and be more transparent on their overhead burden. Just put it above the line. Like, hey, it costs X amount of money for a project manager every single day. Your project's going to take 20 days. Therefore, the price for a project manager is X. And that includes his hard costs, salary, the burden of having that employee, taxes, workers' comp, all that good stuff. And spoiler alert, we're going to get to workers' comp because there's something hilarious. Not hilarious. It's actually really bad and terrifying. But there's some workers' comp stuff that is a headline in our crimes and construction segment. So long story short, architects are great, but they're not as important as I think they are. Builders are more important. And that can be the little snippet we put at the front. Now, so there's a bunch of other headlines here, like 3 reasons why you should ever hire your brother-in-law. Or any family member in construction, and I could tell you a laundry list of why you shouldn't, from personal experiences of working with family on my side and my wife's side. So no shade to any side of the family. It's always a bad idea. It always is. It's, I think actually Nate put this out, and I think Hermosi put it out originally. The best way to support your friends or family that are in business is by paying full price and leaving a 5-star review. And for whatever reason, that's backwards when it comes to immediate family and close friends, to where it's like they want the homie hookup and as cheap as possible, but they still want the service and experience and everything else as if you were paying full price and was like a higher end client. And like here at KHB, once again, talking about ourselves because it's our freaking podcast and we can, we treat everyone the same. We're an equal opportunity lover of clients, even the ones that can be a pain in our ass. And let's not dodge around that. some clients are a pain in the ass. It's just reality. You can only service so many human beings before you find a bad one. And not necessarily bad, but maybe not your preference, maybe not your culture, maybe not how they don't mesh well with how you operate. But that being said, they all pay full price. So I kind of just deal with it, right? But it's a lot tougher when you're getting your balls busted by a brother-in-law or something, and you're giving them a homie hookup. You're not making $1 off of this project, and you're getting beat up day in and day out. When are you going to be here? When's this going to happen? When's this going to happen? When's that going to happen? It's like, hey, man, stop. It's way more of a headache. It's not worth it. Don't work for family. Friends, big asterisk there. Just keep it black and white. Keep it black and white. Work with referrals from paying customers and marketed leads that you have vetted to work with, especially in like long life cycles. I know some people are going to be like, no, you should go on every job walk. And sure, you should go on every job walk. But specifically, faster job cycles and sales cycles, it's way easier to kind of have a broader net when you're casting out there. For us, there's only not a handful, there's more than a handful, but less than 10% of the population that can drop $250,000 on their home. Like our average job size is $350,000, right? Like I don't want to entertain everyone because not everyone has that type of money to put into their house. So we do have a narrower scope, and we're a little bit more selective on who we work with. And we can do that because our jobs take 6, 9, 12 months sometimes. We don't need to fill the pipeline tomorrow. I know what's going on in August right now, September. We're booking out into 2026 with some of our larger projects. So I would say don't work for a family. Cast a little bit of a smaller net. If you're in design build with a long sales cycle, have some patience and charge accordingly. And if you get your balls busted, if someone tries to make you compete the race to the bottom, stop competing on price. Be undeniably the best option in the market, and price will not be an issue. But if you just commoditize yourself and you start cutting your margin and saying, oh, well, I could remove this here. I guess I don't need a paycheck next month. I don't need to do this. I can do this for you. Sure. No. Honestly, the lifetime value of a renovation client is, aside from maybe a few referrals, is zero. Like there's no annual reoccurring revenue. There's no bolt-on subscription. There's no second bathroom coming. It is a one-time stop client for full home and like custom home projects. Like good luck. Like if you just did right now we're doing a $1.8 million build, and I highly doubt that they have another 1.8 million sitting around to go do another one. Right? Like this is kind of the one shot we have with this client, and they might call us back in 5 years. They might call us back in 10, like who knows, but it's not going to be right now. You need to take care of the client you have right in front of your face, be undeniably the best option for them, the best fit in the market, the highest value contractor, and then prices goes out the window. And then paint the picture. And this is like kind of turning into sales, like paint the picture of what would happen if you didn't go with us. Right. And our best clients are the ones that got screwed by a chuck in a truck, 2 years ago. And then they come to us. Like I literally had a phone call last night where the lady was telling me about her previous bathroom remodel experience with, ironically, a family member. No proposal, no contract, no hard price, just kind of like I'm going to bill you as I go type of thing. And she was like, it was horrible. It went terrible. It ruined family dynamics. It cost way more than she thought it should because she never knew a price. And it just spiraled. And she's like, we want to go and do it the right way. It's literally what she said. We want to do it the right way this time. And she called us because she sees our reviews. It was actually a referral, which is even better because there's inherent trust there. Because at the end of the day, all we're trying to do with new clients is have them trust us before we ever pick up a hammer. That's it. And that's also why design build is one of the great business models of construction, because there's inherent trust built before you ever tear their house apart. You're a part of the process. Like it's sticky. Like you're designing their dreams, putting it into 3D, picking out all the materials and selections. You're working with this client for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months sometimes, depending on the size of the job, before you ever pick up a hammer, before you ever break ground. And the trust that's built just rolls right into operations. And it's a beautiful thing when it's firing on all cylinders, but it's one of the best models out there. So don't hire your brother-in-law. That's a hot take, and that's more than 3 reasons why. But generally, they suck. Not as bad as California, but they still suck. You should not work with them. Now, let's get into crimes in construction. So, the first one, and this is terrifying, especially when you're just starting out. Like, I remember our first year in business, we did like $3.5 million in revenue, which was not in a forecast. I didn't know what a forecast was. I didn't know what the hell I was doing yet. And this guy has to pay $1 million in a workers' comp fraud case for underreporting wages. Now, I'm not sure what state this is in. You know the producer, Dave? San Diego County. Oh, shit. This is home. This is California. This makes it even scarier. Okay, so let's read this. Plumbing contractor ordered to pay $1 million in restitution to the state compensation insurance fund as part of a workers' comp fraud prosecution. I'm not going to read his name because that sucks that they even put that out there. Like, this dude is like ruined. Like, he needs to move out of state. This poor dude. It might be a chick. Is that a chick name? That's a chick name. It starts with a D, ends with an A, and we hire a lady that has the same name at KHB. Interesting. Spelt the same way, too. Maybe she's a double, you know? Maybe this was her, and she just moved here to get out of town and start over, and we hired her without knowing, and she's about to go to prison. I'm going to share this article with her. She's not 41, though, or in San Diego. Well, now you can just go to the Google machine and type in San Diego contractor, workers' comp fraud. Anyways, pleading guilty to 1 count of workers' comp insurance premium fraud. The judge imposed a sentence of 2 years of formal felony probation, 320 hours of community service, and he has to pay $10,000 per month towards restitution. And I feel like that's indefinitely. That's like this. It's over for this guy. Continuing, a fund provided workers' comp to XYZ Plumbing Company in June 2016 through May 2021. The fraud was discovered when State Fund's Special Investigation Unit, which is also terrifying that they have an SIU. It sounds like a police force. Basically, State Fund SWAT came knocking down the door, and there was wages the company reported to the Employment Development Department and wages reported to State Fund during the policy audits. State Fund conducted an audit of XYZ Plumbing, all the workers' comp records, and the investigators uncovered millions of dollars in unreported payroll. The State Fund Special Investigation Unit, such a stupid name. I can't believe they have a special investigation department. Reported suspected fraud case to San Diego County District Attorney's Office and California Department of Insurance for investigation. Terrifying. So now I think this has to be malicious, right? Like, you don't just accidentally say, "Oh, we forgot to put millions of dollars into our workers' comp premium." That doesn't just happen. But I could tell you a story of when we first started out and we just put down our workers' comp, like, well, I don't know. We don't have really any employees. We'll probably do 800,000 this year. And then boom, did 3.5. 1.3 of that was above the line, direct labor on projects. And we got hit. We got audited. We had to pay money back. And it's honestly a terrifying thing. And even before that, we every year it's like, just don't lie. Just don't lie on your workers' comp. Don't lie on your insurance just to save a buck in the short term. It's super short-sighted. It's really ignorant to do. Actually, it's not ignorant. You know better. It's just stupid. It's just stupid to do so. And you could end up a felon, which is freaking terrifying. Gosh, okay. That'll keep you up at night. Everyone go check your workers' comp logs. Go make sure you're claiming what you need to claim. Okay, our next one. This is a good one. In crimes in construction, West Hartford Police. I believe that's in Connecticut. Right, Dave? Hartford's Connecticut. Yeah. Never been. Contractor arrested in a $100,000 home improvement scam. So this is a good one. Okay. Tolan contractor was arrested Thursday after a homeowner said they lost $100,000 after hiring him for a project he never completed. Rick LaBelle, I read no, he's not in California now. Sorry, Rick. That sucks, but you're a dirtbag, it sounds like. He's 37. He runs Able Construction and Remodeling, LLC, and he was charged with first-degree larceny and 4 counts of third-degree forgery. Police Lieutenant Ryan Riley, good name, said in a news release. Riley said LaBelle also altered several documents and gave the homeowner fake receipts to try to deceive them. Riley said investigation was started in April, also found the company had its contractor's license revoked by the Department of Consumer Protection. LaBelle was scheduled to appear in Hartford Superior Court on Thursday. It was not immediately clear if LaBelle remains in custody after his appearance in court. And this is why you don't go with the cheaper guy. And $100,000 in Connecticut, I'm sure that goes a long way in Connecticut. I can't imagine it's anything like California. They got senator money out there. Yeah, I always think, for whatever reason, when someone says any other state aside from like New York or California, I'm just like, oh, homes must be like 150 grand. You know, like everything's so cheap out there. What do you mean 100K? Like that's like you can buy a town for 100K in Connecticut. Obviously not true, but that's how recency bias I am with California prices. But no, this is why you just don't choose the shady guy. Ask for the referral. This is terrible. It sucks for that homeowner. I honestly wonder what was going on in this dude's life. I don't know what's going on with Rick, but Rick is a dick who stole $100,000, and he is now going to go to prison. So, once again, actions have consequences. And we are all big boys and big girls running big boy businesses. And you can't go stealing 100 grand from people. It's just not okay. It's not how it works. So that sucks. Okay. Well, that's crime and construction for this week. And I think it's a very scary world out there. I always take these news things with a grain of salt too. Not that I'm on the contractor side for stealing $100,000, but people are crazy, and people want attention, and people want, cash grab schemes are out there. You don't know till you know. Innocent until proven guilty. But Rick sounds like a bad person. Okay, well, we're going to button it up. That was long enough for a solo pod, and I've been ranting and raving for 43 minutes. So I think we're good. If you got any value out of this, which this one you probably didn't as much, but like, share, subscribe, comment. We're trying to grow the YouTube page. Go like us on YouTube. Go click the little bell notification and it pops up and it rings red. Go do that because that really helps us. And looking forward to next week. We should have Nate back on the pod. And until then, I'll see you on the next one.